Greetings, YouTube. LMSTactical here, and no, you're not imagining it. You're seeing Bob and Danielle, and you've heard a lot about them. Those that have been with me for a while, say hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, guys.
Okay, so basically, just for anybody that might not be aware of what's going on and why we're doing this interview, Bob and I'm going to let them tell their story, but Bob and Danielle are South Africans who, like many, have chose to flee the country and escape the ongoing genocide against the white Africans there. Because of the word white is used, it's a subject that the media has chosen to black out. It's not popular. It's not politically correct to openly give a shit about victims if they're the wrong color for this whole feel-good society. And remember, they're responsible for apartheid, just like I'm responsible for slavery in the United States. So, we can't talk about it, but we're going to do it anyways. And what I want to do is, they've been here almost a year now. I'm sponsoring them. So for them to get here was no easy task. And so the goals of this video are, to explain what they went through to get here, because there are a lot of people in South Africa that are either wanting to or in the process of trying to flee the country, understandably. There's some people in South Africa that don't really appreciate people leaving. They look at them as maybe they're fleeing when they should stay. There's a lot of guilt going on. You'll hear about that from these guys. And so we'll start from the beginning and figure out, who they are, how they got here, why they left, what's going on now since they're here in America, and what it is they're trying to achieve. So with that, Danielle, why don't you go ahead and take the lead and just, how did all of this, how did you meet me? My name is Mike. How did you, when did you first decide that you were actually going to seriously leave Africa? And before you answer, I do have a big dog in the background, and kids are going to be coming home from school, so there's going to be some interruptions. You're going to have to suck it up, Buttercup, because this is how we roll. So Danielle, what happened? Start from the beginning.
I think it was during 2018 when I started picking up the increase of farm attacks and just the general crime picking up. And I don't know, I think in most part is that...
What are farm attacks? I mean, for people that have no idea what we're talking about.
The brutal farm attacks and killings going on in South Africa. Our farmers being killed and attacked weekly, daily. Not just farm attacks, also in the cities, in homes. Crime is out of control at the moment, more so than 9 months ago, or a year, 2 years ago. It has increased tremendously in the last 9 months, I would say. But for me, it was, before we did this whole journey, it was about a year in doing research and looking up things where to go to with your kids, so your kids can have a future and be safe.
What were you guys doing? I'm gonna interrupt her. What were you guys doing prior to that? I mean, Bob, you were working.
He was working for himself, because obviously, to find work in South Africa is very hard. And if you don't do anything for yourself, you're not going to survive. And even doing something for yourself, it's hard. It's hard to survive on a daily basis. So you got to do what you can. But I was doing research, and our first option, believe it or not, was going to Panama. Even with the language barrier, we were willing to give it a try, because the fact was we were looking at our finances, and majority of people don't have the finances to go anywhere. And we were doing Panama.
How did you end up thinking about Panama? Like, why not America first?
At first, I was looking at a place to go to where we can go out of South Africa.
No visas.
And no visas required.
Okay, right.
So that was the easiest thing. And we actually attended webinars from Panama with South Africans in Panama. We had a lot going on at that stage. And first of all, it looked like, okay, we're going to go to Panama. And from there onwards, we can decide, where next. But it was just a way of getting out at this stage.
Was your goal to stay in Panama, or did you hope to eventually end up in the U.S.?
Yeah. But at that stage, it was far-fetched for us to even be in America.
Because of the visa?
In the financial situation.
Well, it's like 12 grand, and they might give it to you, they might not give it to you. So
it took some time too, right?
It's 4 of us. Do we even chance that and not get it?
They have 2 children as well.
So we decided not to chance it, and
But that was like, so this was a year in researching and going back and forth, and a lot of things happening, and building a relationship with people from around the world, and making friends on Facebook with people, and having conversations with Canadian people and American people, and you just build up relationships as you go along, and in your research you meet new people. And
how about your family? How about your extent? Were they supportive of you?
Not at all.
no.
They think we were crazy.
Why would they think you were crazy?
Because we interrupt in the kids' lives, and we are being silly.
Overreacting, maybe?
Overreacting, making a mistake, But I think at that stage, when I started with the research, it wasn't, I think God played a big role in this whole thing with me, because I was so committed to this, and I was so determined to get my kids out of that country. I mean, to leave everything behind is not easy.
Had you discussed it with Bob? And
At
Bob, what
first,
was your
he
feeling?
wasn't so on track with the whole thing.
No, I wasn't on track, because the reason being is I had to work. I had to take kids to school every morning. I never had time to worry about what was happening to the next person.
Right.
My job was to provide meals, pay rent, get the kids their education. And Danielle was on board, and she was telling me about farm attacks, and a little girl got raped and crucifix in her throat, and father's eyelids being cut off to make him watch the whole thing. And I had to work, and everybody around you just carry on with your life like it's a normal day, And then the one day taking my son to school, he actually said to me that he doesn't feel safe. And
How old was he when that happened?
He was about 14, and he said he doesn't feel safe, and what we need to do is maybe sell our motorbikes and get our passports. So
that's a 14-year-old suggested selling his motorcycle, which was a pretty prized possession, as I understand.
yeah.
So that the idea there is how serious must it be for a young person?
Well, at that time, they were robbing the kids on the school grounds, on the field, by gunpoint for their tablets, because they learn on tablets at school in South Africa, and they were robbing the kids at school by gunpoint. And he just said, we used to drive through riots to take the kids to school, get text messages telling us, listen, school's finishing early, you need to come pick the kids up. We'd have to drive through the same riot, burning tires, throwing stones at cars, pick the kids up, come home. And that's when I came on over to the other side, you would say, and then the farm attacks started getting more.
Also,
there was a lady that was on maternity leave with a 1-month-old baby. They done a home invasion, and they stabbed her in the neck, and she died.
Wow.
They took a
and
laptop.
Basically around the corner from where we stay.
Around the corner, and if you're not safe in your own home, that's the one place that you should feel safe.
Yeah.
We didn't feel safe. My daughter wouldn't go to sleep at night. She would stay up all night and look out the window. She hears a car idling for too long, she would come wake us up. We had machetes next to our beds for protection.
This is pretty standard, right? This is how white people in Africa are living.
Well,
describe how you lived with bars on the windows.
Okay, so we would come home. Okay, so before you go out in the day, you make sure all the windows are closed, your front door's closed and locked, your security gate is locked, your garage is locked, your driveway gate is closed and locked. So you come home, you got to go through your driveway gate, unlock the garage, park the vehicle, lock the garage, open your security gate, lock your security gate, open the front door, open windows to get in the house. And then if you've got a sliding door, open the sliding door but leave the security gate locked. So that is how you live. You live under key and lock all the time. You're
not getting a full night's sleep in that environment, are you?
Mark, when I came here and we just got here,
oh yeah,
and Mason would bark.
That's Mason for you new people.
Mason is like really attacking me right now.
Mason would bark, and I would jump up and run around to look what's going on.
Right.
You know that.
The thing is, like, the way we lived in South Africa, because we had a few incidences at home, and I'm not going to go into detail with that, because I'm sure a lot of people experience the same living conditions in South Africa right now, and we relive it every day, even though we're here, you see what's going on, and you live it every day because you come from there.
Yes.
It is literally like lifting your garage during the night, finding fingerprints, footprints, just, things.
So it's kind of normal to expect to be attacked.
So you start living
People coming through the roof while
yeah,
you're sleeping.
you start
you know?
living in fear. And you don't sleep at night because all you do is listen for noises.
Yeah.
If you hear noise, you jump up. So you sleep with one eye open, one eye closed.
And I know when you got here
and-
that you guys never slept with doors closed,
No
and
ways.
we
Well,
could get
yeah.
into that later, but
Yeah.
when we get into how it was when they first got here, but yeah, they definitely, I mean, as far as post-traumatic stress goes, they all have it, and I'm no expert, but I can see it. I apologize for the dog, but there's no stopping him. He's not going to take no for an answer. But okay, so Danielle, you're researching and you've been doing this for a long time, and then what was the next thing that happened?
It was funny how things were just working out for us, and we were at the position where we had to be out of the house because we gave notice, and time was running short for us, so we were sort of in a corner. We had to do this.
So you had already said you made the decision. You're leaving.
There was no way turning back after getting our passports, and there was no way back.
And how were you funding this? Because I know a lot of people don't have the money to do
At first, we
this.
didn't have all the money at first. And we still had all our furniture and the vehicles and everything. So I think, the process of us getting all our stuff together and start selling, getting your stuff sorted out, making different piles, because there's no way of keeping anything.
Right, so you have to
Either
sell
throw it
everything.
away or sell it, and there's no being sentimental about stuff.
Right.
You got to let it go, and it was the hard part. And then the hardest thing was the animals. We had 5 Great Danes we had to rehome, and I think once they were gone, that was just the final straw for us. That was finished. There was nothing holding us there.
And for you animal lovers, I don't want that to be under what's the word I'm looking for? These guys have been suffering terribly over the loss of these dogs. I mean, I got to tell you, and it's almost a subject that when it comes up, I almost have to change the subject because I can't imagine leaving Mason. But that should tell people that are wondering how this happened, that should tell you how severe it is, because they love their dogs the way I love Mason, and that means they're just like children. So that was, I can't tell you how many tears Danielle's cried over those dogs.
So that was the hard part, and I think once the animals were gone and we started getting rid of our furniture at once, and I will never forget the day we stood in our garage and we were going to sleep. He's biting me.
Security to Studio 6.
Please remove a dog. No, he's cool. I remember the day we were standing in the garage and we were waiting for my aunt to fetch us because we sold our vehicle, we sold out our furniture, everything was empty, and it was just such a overwhelming feeling to realize that this is it.
No going back
There's
now.
no
Yeah.
No going back. Everything's gone.
Everything's
We don't have.
gone.
You only
And-
got the bags that you take
Yeah.
in with you on your journey, and nothing extra. Kids' toys.
So you got your family and friends saying, "Hey, you guys are nuts. You're gonna screw up the kids' lives. You're overreacting," but you still pushed on and made this decision to do this.
Like I said, I think God played a big role in
No,
this.
he definitely did.
Without the faith we had, putting everything into God's, with faith.
Mason, hey, stop that.
He's terrorizing me today.
Hang on, let me get security. Can you grab this dog? We have a security guard in the house. It's Kiana, the son.
Hi, Mason.
You can walk in front of the camera. It's okay. They've seen good-looking guys before.
He's on full.
Go get a treat. Go get a treat. No, over there. Oh, sorry about that, audience. This is what happens. We're on a low-budget studio here.
Yeah, no.
But this is just, this is normal
Life.
It's natural.
No, when you know you've got nothing left, I think the hardest part was letting the dogs go. But I think once the dogs were gone and rehomed, there was no turning back. That was the point of no return.
Which had to feel a little bit good too, because it was like now the decision's made. We're going.
It was a good feeling, but it was a hard feeling because
We
we've
weren't
lost
even sure
a
yet
part of the family.
where we were going.
Yeah, at that point when the dogs were rehomed, you were still thinking of South America, yeah?
No, we were going to Ireland.
We were going
That's about the time you and I.
see how we chopped and changed, because we were sort of making contacts here, contacts there, and we weren't sure if we're going to get into America, because
Right.
it was hard.
America was having
It's
the
hard to
major
get into
immigration
America,
problem on our southern border.
If you don't have the finances for, say, having finances for your flight to get out, and not finances for your visa, and not sure if you're going to get it,
Yeah.
you cannot take that risk. You got to make alternative arrangements to get out. And the other one was Ireland, because it's the same thing, you don't need visas. And our mind was set on Ireland because that was the way out. And
There was no language barrier.
Right.
yeah, it was,
And-
it seemed a little bit better than Panama at this stage because,
Panama's just too much jungle.
yeah.
And you don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Exactly, that was the biggest thing for us
So-
as well. Even though there's expats there from South Africa, a
Right.
lot of people, but there was a lot going on in between. And the thing is, when we left Port Elizabeth, we went to Johannesburg. We stayed with my sister for a little bit, and we stayed with his mom because we weren't sure yet of where we're going.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, our things weren't really planned out like for definite.
We were kind of winging it.
We were winging it, but we also had our faith at that time was so strong. We put everything into God, and we said, God, this is in your hands, because everything so far happened for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
Mason, stop that.
Howie.
He wants attention.
Look, in the process, before we left home, we had made contact with Vanessa from...
King Resettlement Program.
Okay, so that's when she got on board.
Yeah, before we
that
had
was
left.
just a little bit before we left home.
That's kingresettlementprogram.org. If you guys want to look that up,
And
that's
I must say,
a great organization.
She was a godsend. She prayed for us. She had a vision, when she prayed, and she had a vision of this beautiful home and trees and the mist disappearing, and she had this vision, and she prayed, and she gave us so much of hope just for being there, with her faith, and she played a huge role in us where we are today.
Yes.
Together with you and your family.
Yeah, she is a special person.
She is.
She really is. I mean, without her giving us guidance and praying for us.
Yeah.
She has helped a lot of
A lot of
South
people,
Africans
yeah.
relocate to various countries and places.
I really take my hat off to Vanessa and the work she does for all the South.
And that's an organization that
It's a
survives
non-profit.
fully on donations. She's a nonprofit.
organization.
It's not. I don't mean to turn it into a commercial, but if there's a worthy cause, it's kingresettlementprogram.org. Please look it up if you got any way to help at all, because these things cost money, and a lot of it's coming from Vanessa's own purse, and that's not easy.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So then what happened? We got to Johannesburg.
In this whole situation, we were told about another South African family that's in Johannesburg that was having the same sort of idea of leaving South Africa. They also have 3 kids, and swiftly something changed, and we heard that they are going via the Mexico way, and we had a thought about this, but we thought, no, Mexico, come on, you
Yeah.
gotta be kidding, we got kids and stuff.
And there was thousands
And
of
it was
immigrants
this
from
huge caravan.
Guatemala.
Caravans and trains.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. What a journey that was. Really.
So
So how did the hero? I mean, I get involved.
you
You.
were godsend.
I got woken up in the morning.
That's the
I was-
story. Yeah. Well,
That was like my lowest point ever in Johannesburg, because like I said, we weren't sure where we were going, but we had to go.
yeah.
Because we've
No
lost
turning
everything.
back.
No turning
No
back.
animals, and there's no way I'm giving my animals up just to stay in another province.
Right.
We had to go, and the whole thing was to get your kids to safety and have your kids have a future.
Right.
So it was one night sitting at his mom's flat, and we were going back and forth, and we started speaking to this other family as well that had this idea of going through Mexico, and it started looking real good, like a real good option. And they were going for the Mexican visas. So we thought, let them go and see how it goes, because then we can get some feedback on what the process will be for us
Right.
as well. So it went very well, and it went easy, and I got the Mexican visas. So before we went for that, I was scrolling through YouTube one night, and I was feeling really, really down and out and overwhelmed, and I wasn't sure what we're going to do. We got kids out of school.
What route we
Because now
going?
you're starting to stress, your kids are losing out on school, and it's a whole lot of different mixed emotions. And I came across your video saying South Africa.
Yeah. I think that was one of my first
Yeah, one of
on
your
South
first or
Africa.
second.
Yeah.
Africa.
And I clicked on it, and I thought, interesting. So I clicked on it, and you started, fuck off my channel if you don't like the foul language, blah, blah, and I thought, wow, okay, I like this dude. And I see the dog, and I started watching a video, and I woke him, I said, hey, it was quite late. It was
Well, like
midnight.
3 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
she woke the whole fucking family up. My mother's sleeping, my brother, everybody is up listening to Mark on
And we started
YouTube.
I'm starting to check out now every day for a video that you're going to post to see what's the next one. And I just said, I'm sure as I'm sitting here that God
Yeah. No doubt.
Put you in
really,
our path.
put you in our path, because it was at my lowest point when I said to God, you know what, I'm here now. This is now all in your hands. I'm giving everything now up to you because this is where we are now. You know our hearts, where we need to go.
Yes.
And you came into our
life.
life.
Yeah. And then you reached out.
I reached out to you and I said, I need to get hold of you because I had this urge. I just need to reach out to you. And I think I got hold of your email address on Twitter. And I sent you an email. I sent you a story. And I think it was not long after that you reached out back to me.
Yeah.
And we started phoning each other on a video call.
Yeah, well, on WhatsApp.
And we started chatting for like hours. It was like during load shedding as
long era.
Load shedding was, and
we had this long, for like 4 or 5 hours.
That's when I started getting very familiar with South Africa. You know, it's one thing to read about it, but Bob's literally filming out the window and I'm seeing crap go on in Johannesburg. I mean, right, you know, watching it live.
Yeah. And
you still watched your first car accident.
Yeah.
on live.
Yeah.
And we shared a lot of chats for 4 or 5 hours a night.
Oh yeah, many hours.
Time zone was like, I think at that time it was summer and all that was 6 hours. So it was like, you know, I think we're 6 hours ahead.
Yeah.
So we had to wait for you to wake up or the right time. So we had a lot of talks and long hours. And then, you know, you came up with the...
Maybe put Buddy downstairs if you could.
You came up and said that you and Anne decided to, you know, sponsor us.
Yep.
And it was like, wow, unbelievable. It was like, what? We were so happy and we were like, wow, how are we going to do this?
Well, that's actually when the journey started.
I was just going to say that's when the fun really began.
That was the redirection of coming to America.
Yeah.
Because
little did we know what was waiting for us.
Yeah. So
I mean, as far as your process and everything.
Yeah. So we prepared ourselves. We got ready. We got excited. We got.
And you had to have money in the bank to show that there was a lot of technical things for you South Africans that are thinking of doing this, and things changed. But in that time, I don't remember the amount, but they were looking at your bank account because
60 grand.
They
60 grand.
They had to feel confident that there was something to bring you back.
Yeah.
So pay stubs and all kinds of shit. It was a nightmare.
60,000 in the bank for Mexican visa. So we went for the interview, but before that could happen, I had to borrow like 10,000 from my sister for like a day or two, and then put it in my account, and you know, run around and got help from you and Vanessa and everybody. So to make it possible to make that big amount.
Yeah, it was not easy for everybody.
It's not easy. It's not easy to live in South Africa because stuff is so expensive, life's expensive, and selling your everything that you've got is not enough even.
And then our passports went missing.
Yeah, we got our passports. From,
can you remember that?
I do now.
For our interview at Mexican embassy went very well, but we weren't sure because we were nervous, and you know, so they phoned us and said, no, we got the visas.
Visas, yeah.
They were going to send us the passports back with the visa in it. So then our passports went missing.
That was panic mode, man.
I was freaking out. But eventually we got our passports back with the
There's
visa.
more panic coming, believe me. That was...
Yeah.
So once we got the visas, we knew this was it. Now we had to book our plane ticket and we had to get out. So the only way was we couldn't fly straight. So we have to fly from Joburg to Brazil.
Yep.
We had 20 hours.
So Danielle and her sister went online and booked a hotel room. So we get to Brazil, we catch a cab to the hotel room, prostitutes standing outside, big gang signs on the wall. So I go into the place, I look, get back in the cab.
Bullet holes and blood stains. It's like, this ain't the place.
In the cab, go back to the airport, kids sleeping underneath escalators on those silver ambulance blankets.
I packed the emergency blankets in.
Yeah.
You know, I packed like a few, like. You know,
and I would video talk with you guys while you were at that airport, and they were just camping out.
20-hour layover in Brazil. It was horrendous.
Unbelievable.
We were so tired. We were sitting up and literally like nodding because we weren't sure about the safety. And,
yeah.
You know, but it was pretty good.
Yeah.
The kids were sleeping a little bit on the floor.
Then from Brazil we went to
Colombia. Colombia was like crazy. I mean, it's like hundreds and hundreds of people, and you go through the scanning you for drugs and all sorts of things.
And then they interrogate you for a while?
That was in Mexico. So when we got to Colombia, we were stuck in this international side of the airport for like 6 hours. So we just like camped out on the floor, sleeping a little bit, listening for our call for the plane. And then we left 6 hours later.
Yeah, they take your cigarettes for you smokers. They take your cigarettes, your lighters. You're not allowed anything.
You can't go out, so you're stuck in that airport. So anyway, we survived it, and I think we got on a plane, actually not a plane, a jet.
Oh,
from
wow.
Colombia to Mexico.
Oh, Lord.
Is that the one where you almost died?
Yeah. So we were
It was
like
at
an
4 o'clock
hour.
in the morning.
Yeah, we were like an hour out of Mexico, and the jet just falls straight
With
down
an air pocket.
for about 15.
Oh,
I'd say like less than a minute, but it just keeps falling about 25 meters.
People screaming.
The lady next to me, she was praying, the little Mexican lady, and yeah, it was really scary. The air hostess was all nervous and training the pilot. And
yeah, when I saw her face training the pilot up for the knock, what's going on? I'm like, oh my gosh, we're in trouble. I said, you're going down in the Gulf of Mexico. Here we go.
Here we go.
An hour out of Mexico. Here we go. But anyway, we managed to like land in Mexico, and it was such a good feeling too. And it was quite a surprise landing in Mexico to see what it looks like, you know, Mexico. And
we've made.
we
the
look
journey.
terrible, by the way. We haven't showered for like 3 days. We were really tired because it's like.
But you're on the
trip.
continent. You
But
know?
exactly. We were closer than ever before, you know. And
So
got
we
to
get,
Mexico.
we get into the line now,
Oh
and
my goodness.
the guy takes our passports and asks us where we're from, and we tell him we're South Africa, and tells us to follow him.
And I thought, God, no. And I started praying. I said, please, God, just, you know.
So we were
just-
detained for about 2 hours,
Yeah.
easy.
And they take me in to have a meeting with me, like what we doing here, why you coming here, where you coming from, how much money you got, what do you do in South Africa, what are you going to do here, and when you're going to go back, and when you're going to stay. The whole question over and over. It's about 2 hours long.
And weren't you, if I remember, weren't you saying that you were exploring the possibility of bringing the Mexican cuisine to South Africa? So you were going to look at some restaurants.
We say we come here to explore the culture and, you know, meeting people and see how they live in Mexico. And my son, and we just like, you know, we had to have a plan.
Yes.
Of why we're there.
Right.
You know? And lucky I had booked an hotel in Mexico City.
So you got to think of every detail.
I had a print out confirmation from the hotel that we've booked to go to. So that I hand in as well. So to show them that this is where we're going, and we will be traveling through Mexico and just going and live here wherever we need to, you know. Just
The tourists.
Yeah. So finally we were let free, and it was the best feeling in the world. We just walked out at the airport and we were free, and we got a taxi, we went to the hotel in Mexico City. We stayed there for about 3 days, I think. I said we were just like,
I mean,
I think we discussed
Exhausted.
it with you,
Yeah.
exhausted.
They needed to recharge. They were
Recharge our
wiped out.
batteries. We could jump in a bus to Matamoros straight away, but we thought no.
Well, got
I
to
think we
regroup.
should just, you know, get our minds
but
set.
my hat off to my children. My children
Yeah.
done this whole journey, and they were champions. They
really took it in their stride.
Yeah, I was
sucked everything
amazed.
up, and they really done it like champions, and I'm so
Yeah.
proud of them because, you know, this is not for every family, please.
Yeah.
This is not for every.
And that's kind of why we're going into such detail. There's a lot of people that question me all the time, every day, literally thousands of emails. Hey, can you help me get to America? How do I get to America? And I want
It's not easy.
the majority of this interview is really to explain to people that it is extremely involved. And, you know, everything changes. We'll get into that a little bit later as far as process. But this is not something that where you get on a plane and you get off and you're at Mike's house. That's not what happened at all. In fact, let's keep going. When you're done with the hotel, what next? I think there was
I
a
think, you know,
hellacious bus ride.
Yeah, if you have an American visa, your life is so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for us at this stage, we didn't have that, so we had to go through that way. You know, so this was our journey. It was totally different to everybody else, you know.
But Mexico was beautiful.
Mexico was beautiful.
Got to eat tacos.
It was
And,
so
We got
clean.
tacos in Mexico.
It was
We had
absolutely clean.
McDonald's in Mexico.
Yeah,
I mean, come on,
it's-
KFC.
yeah, coming from South Africa,
Yeah.
Mexico was like glorious.
There was not a piece of paper on the ground. Did you
Yeah.
tell you? It was so clean. It was colorful.
And you guys hadn't seen that before,
No,
something
I've
like
seen
that.
Mexico, I didn't think it was like that.
Yeah.
I understand there's places in Mexico that's really
Everywhere,
bad,
sure.
But the Mexico City itself was really a surprise to me. I think we all had good fun in the last 3 days we were there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the big journey started. We booked no, we didn't book it at first.
So we catch a cab. We go down to the
It was
desk.
6 o'clock in the morning.
So we go in the bus terminal. So they get a cab for us, Uber. So we load our suitcases and everything. And we're going to now. The Uber gets stopped by the police in Mexico, a block away from the bus terminal. So all 4 of us, suitcases out the fucking Uber, and we got to carry our suitcases.
Because he didn't have a permit to be.
Yeah. So I paid him half what he asked me for. And we're carrying our suitcases in Mexico. We don't know right, left, straight, where we're going. But yeah, we carried them.
We ended up walking with our suitcases to the Greyhound terminals.
To the Greyhound. Well, it wasn't Greyhound. It was
Whatever their bus is, yeah.
And we couldn't get a bus out until like 6 o'clock that night. And we're 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
We had to stay there like the whole day.
So the kids were like, sort of like, oh, are you kidding me? Do we have to sit here the whole day at the terminal? So we end up sitting at the whole day at the terminal. Just keeping ourselves busy, and you know, what can you do? There's nothing you can do. You've got to sit it out and wait it out. So I think we got in the bus, quite a comfortable bus, right?
Yeah,
I must say.
20 hours.
20 hours. Mason is being so naughty today.
Yeah, he wants attention.
Yeah,
20-hour bus ride from Mexico City to Matamoros, which is on Brownsville side, Texas. So it was during the night, and let me tell you something. That bus driver, oh my gosh, it was like what you call it?
Cliff.
The cliffs, like you won't believe. I just said, I
whole
closed
bus
my eyes
goes
and I
up there.
slept. I couldn't deal with
Now
it.
during this whole trip, every now and again, we're talking and doing video talks whenever we could. So it was like I was kind of with him in spirit, you know, stressing out this whole time as each little piece of this thing came together.
Yeah.
And I know you were terrified of that bus.
I know.
Happy that it was nighttime so you couldn't see down the cliff.
I down, I just slept.
And at the same time, on the journey that from Mexico City now to Matamoros, we were talking with the other family.
Yes.
Because they went ahead of us. I think they were a week ahead of us or something like that. And they were already at the hotel where we were going to meet up with them in Matamoros.
Yes.
So we eventually arrived at the hotel, and I was quite surprised. It was quite a nice little hotel, like very decent. We were the only white South African people there. There was a lot of Spanish people from
How
Cuba.
far from the border was this?
We were
It
about
was walking distance,
like
actually.
about a 6 or 10 minute walk from the hotel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It was okay. You know, we arrived there, and we sort of like said, okay, we'll chill out for the weekend. It was over a weekend, I think.
But the nice thing is the lady that worked there, one of them spoke a little bit of English.
Yeah, so we could communicate with her.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of Mexican guys. I mean, we had what do you call them? Cartel guys coming in to take people over the border. I mean, we had two brothers and a father that paid the guys to go, and then ended up back at the hotel with nothing.
Robbed and left out in the desert.
Yeah.
Robbed and left out.
We just said no, thank you.
I mean, we stayed away from those guys,
And not to gloss over that, there were groups of people that paid these guys to get them in, and then later on they saw passports floating down the river, and those people were never seen again.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, you and Anne and Vanessa played a huge part of us, you know, helping us out financially, staying in a hotel and being safe and having something to eat every day.
And that was the time when we were all trying to figure out how to actually get across the border, because there was a long waiting process.
Well, look, the first day we got to Mexico,
Mason.
We packed our bags, the kids and us.
It wasn't I think it was
the second day.
He's mad. He's mad because we're ignoring him.
The second day, we actually packed a backpack each and walked the border bridge.
We left all of our clothes.
Yeah, so we walked the bridge, and halfway on the bridge, you got the American ICE agents or border security, and they actually said that we can't enter. We need to go back and put our name on a list.
Yes.
So we were like 861, 862, 863, and they said 6 to 9 months before we can cross.
Now let that sink in. 6 to 9 months they were expected to wait. Now just think of the cost. If you're going to put somebody in a hotel for 6 to 9 months, it's not doable.
Yeah, in pesos.
But then what happens is...
Do you remember that while we were still in South Africa, we had a discussion of how we should do this crossing?
Yeah, oh yeah. We had many ideas.
We had ideas.
So now what happens is, when your name is on the list, you got to wait. The last week, you got to come and live at the bridge in a tent.
Like a little tent city they had.
Like a tent city. So that's where you are. So, you know, we get back to the hotel. Now we've been there like 3 months. And
3 weeks.
Oh, sorry, 3 weeks. And the other family says that they got a message, and we need to go to like a, what do you call
Like
it?
a holding camp sort of thing.
Like a holding camp until we're ready to cross. So I said to Danielle, there's no ways I'm going.
It wasn't safe. I mean, they got a
They
daughter.
had some raids going on at those camps. Remember
Yeah.
the week before that, and just a lot of bad people hanging out there.
So whoever gets sent back from the US side that crosses illegal or whatever, they go to those camps.
Yes.
There was not an option for us.
It was like, we either go back to South Africa, my ticket's still valid, or we do what like Mark said, we catch a cab from the hotel and we go across the border.
Now, we went back and forth with this for a long time because it's a one-shot deal. You know, we knew, in my mindset, and we all agreed, we talked about it in detail, was that if their feet touched the American soil, that's all they needed to be able to request asylum, as far as we understood the law. But the risk was getting stopped before they crossed that bridge or weren't completely on soil yet. So we went around and around, and the day was approaching when their ticket would expire back to South Africa. So their options, not that they wanted to go back, but once they passed that day, now they're in Mexico, man, and now there's no going back. No. So that's pretty much where it came down. And Bob would go, you'd go up and recon the border.
Yeah, I would go to the border. I would walk the bridge every now and then.
Watching to see how it's done.
I actually met a guy that was selling tacos on the bridge. And, you know, he would tell me how things are operated. And so I would walk up as far as I could go, and I would just scan the bridge and see that they don't stop the vehicles crossing over the bridge. So
on the Mexican side, they didn't stop. And keep in mind, though, that part of our discussion was if you cross illegally, like swimming the river, that's a different thing. That's a crime. But to request, to go face to face at a border, what do they call it? A port of entry. Yeah. That, that's different. That's not a crime to go to, and that's important for anybody considering. You have to do it at a port of entry or you're breaking the law.
Yeah, that's a legal way, is entering through a port of entry.
Yeah, because there were options that we considered. I mean, there were places that the border wasn't very secure and they could have probably just walked across, but now what? Yeah. So that's something you have to keep in mind is if you do things right, there's a right way and a wrong way.
Yeah. And we were trying to keep everything,
above board, and
do the right thing. And just picture yourself being South African, left everything behind, and you find yourself in Mexico.
You don't understand.
You don't understand. You're going through this.
I'm dying for Mexican food after this conversation.
You're going through this journey to get to America. I mean, it's unbelievable that we went through this. And when I think about it,
it couldn't have been done without God's guidance.
No way.
Really.
I cannot believe we did this.
So how long were you actually in Mexico at the border before?
It was about 3 weeks.
So
3 weeks to a month.
Yeah.
Now think about that. That's and there's all kinds of sub stories. Bob's sick as a dog. Having to run out to the pharmacist to get us trying to send them money through, what is it called?
Walmart.
Like a MoneyGram thing, and then having to figure out where they can pick it up. So this was like almost a 24-hour operation where we're constantly readjusting and planning.
Yeah.
So Bob finally has enough. And one day, what happens on that last day?
Saturday morning. The Friday night. We booked a taxi from.
So I phoned.
Well, what made you do that? Where's your heads at?
At that point, where we were supposed to go to this holding facility.
And you said it ain't gonna happen.
I said that ain't gonna happen. I mean, I got a daughter. I got 2 kids. They say you're not allowed leaving there without somebody going out with you. You must watch your kids. The cartel will take them. These were all things that were going on in our heads,
Yeah.
I mean, listen, there were days in this journey that you are so low. Your motivation and your depression.
Just depression.
And you just
miss
don't.
home, you miss your dog, you miss your life.
And then other days that are good days, and you've got all the energy. You want to go out there and get it.
So you woke up sometimes thinking, man, I made the biggest mistake of my life.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next day you might be like, man, this is going to work.
Well, I said, there's no ways. We're going back or we're catching a cab.
And I was in a different mindset. I never felt that it was a mistake. I was so determined to get here and to push through on the goal I set for getting my family out and reaching America and coming to you and getting my kids out and getting my kids to have a better life here. I was very determined, and it was a drive in me that I don't know where it came from, the strength and just to keep going. It was
I mean, she was
definitely-
strong. I was down. I was
Yeah, you
strong.
know, we
She
have
was
You guys
down.
supported each other.
Yeah.
It's what it is. I
You
mean,
got to equal it out.
there are days that you're going to turn on each other.
Absolutely.
There's days that you just.
Yeah. But I
It
think
wasn't all laughs.
It wasn't all long.
But
I mean,
but
it
but
was
you
hard.
guys did find time to laugh,
Yeah,
and
you gotta put your
we
head
actually
down.
did have some fun, even three ways. You know,
Yeah.
you would show me the music, the mariachi guys playing, or
Yeah,
walking down the
yeah.
streets, and
But I mean, the lady at the hotel would say, "Listen, if you need anything, get it in the daytime. Do not go out
Right.
after 5."
Yeah.
That was Mexico. I mean, but you know, like I said, we were supposed to go to this holding facility, and I said, "There's no ways in hell we're going to go and
I
do
said to
that."
him, there's no option, I'm not going back to South Africa.
So then I said to
come
her,
this
"Right,
far,
it.
let's do this.
where's the phone?" I asked the other family that was with us. I said, "Listen, I'm ordering a taxi. Are you guys in, or are you guys out? If you are out, we're going ourselves." And they said, "We in." And we
This
sat
was
at
the
the
day.
table. We were having a bra. I'll never forget this. We were sitting having a bra, and we were sitting there, and we said, "So we're going to do this. When are we doing this?
We're in it together now, let's do
Let's
this.
let's do this." So
there
I
was
phoned.
9 of us.
So there was 9 of us on this journey from here on out now. So
Yeah.
I phoned a taxi from Brownsville. I said to them, "We are an American family coming back from holiday, and we need a taxi to pick us up in Brownsville." Gave them the hotel details. I needed you at 8 o'clock in the morning. They asked me, "Is all your paperwork and passports in order?" I said, "Everything's in order." And we
I
jumped
said
a
we-
taxi.
We said we need a big taxi.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's 9 of us. Who was like
And-
4 adults and 5 kids.
And that's it. We loaded our stuff. And
And you left almost everything you
We
owned, didn't
left a
you?
lot of stuff
I mean,
in the hotel because
Clothes.
there wasn't enough space.
Yeah.
Each had a bag.
I mean, when I got here, I was wearing your clothes.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I left
we
everything.
left all
they-
our winter stuff.
Pretty much, you guys each had a bag that you could carry, and that was
and
it.
Shoes. And we left everything in the hotel because there's no ways for 9 people and 9 people's luggage. to
Right.
go. We all actually left stuff behind. The other family left also stuff behind in the hotel. And we got up the Saturday morning. I think we spoke to you before we left.
Oh yeah.
And I think we spoke to you.
Oh, I was on the phone while they were in the car. So
I
first,
was-
let's walk through it. So the taxi picks you up.
We laid everything in
Are you guys nervous? Or-
Hyperventilating.
I remember.
I was really nervous, but I had a good feeling. But I also knew that this was, because we knew what was the process.
It's
Once
do
we-
or die now because
We knew in there that is the process you have to go through.
So we get in the taxi at the hotel. We're going. Now we're getting closer to the border.
I'm on the phone with Danielle.
We're getting
now-
over the bridge.
I'm sitting at the back, and I can see the people from Tent City that I know because I'll go to the bridge in the morning, and it feels like they're watching you. You know.
Yeah.
We get up to the toll because on the Mexican side there's a toll, and you pay the guy at the front of the toll. Now the taxi driver doesn't have enough money to pay the toll, so now we're all scratching quickly in
All
the
for
back
pesos.
for pesos to give the taxi so he can pay, and then we go through. So we go through. Halfway on the bridge, there's a board. It says, "Welcome to
Or you're
entering United
Entering the United States, and that's when
Yeah.
Danielle told me that, and I was like, "Oh my God,
Going into the
yes."
United States now, and it was like, I was hyperventilating, and we all were just sitting quietly. We were all
And I'm
squashed
telling,
up.
I'm like panicking. I'm over here, and I'm saying, when you wait till you get on the other side, but you've got to get out of the car. Oh, everybody's feet got to be
Yeah.
on the ground. You got to get out of the car, and
Yeah.
they're getting closer. And then what happened?
And I said, we have to go. We right here.
That was when they
Yeah,
cut
that
me
was the
off,
last time
and
we
holy
spoke to
shit,
you,
was
I
that
think.
scary? Yeah, for 3 days I didn't hear a word, but
Yeah.
let's hear what happened.
So we enter into the American side, and the guy asked us for our passports. So we give him the passport.
So he leans in the car.
Yeah.
No, he's at like a toll booth.
Yeah, they told.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And there's a boom gate in front, so he asked for passports. We gave him passports. So then we hear him stamping the
Stamping.
passport. Bah, bah,
We
bah.
were,
He's
now
like,
we're getting worried, like, what is
oh
going
wow,
on?
they're
you know?
letting us in.
Yeah.
And then he leaned in and said, "So where you guys going?" So we said, "We're going to go see a friend." So then he said to us, "Well, pull off to secondary." So then the car went and pulled off, and then some border security guys came to the car and said, "So where you guys going?" So I said the same thing. So the guy couldn't hear what I was saying. So I said to him, "Sir, can I get out the car and talk to you?" So he said, "Yes." I said, "Please don't be alarmed. There's like
9 of us.
9 of us, 4 adults and the rest are kids. So, you know, And then I opened my door.
So just picture this: 9 people climbing out of a taxi.
Oh, they were okay. Yeah, everybody getting
All
out.
got out. And then I went over and I introduced myself, who I was, where I'm from, and I pleaded political asylum. So he said to us, well, all right, get all your stuff out. So we got the stuff out the car.
We all went through the same sort of process.
And then I went and paid the taxi driver. I gave him $100.
And didn't the guard, the border guy, say something to you?
Yeah, when we were loading
Welcome.
Yeah, he said to Danielle.
Yeah, that was the next best thing for me ever, because that just brought tears to my eyes, because I thought, this is a part where I know that we've come so far to hear that from someone.
What did he say?
So when we were carrying
Carrying
our
our
luggage
suitcases to the office.
to go in to be booked now,
Yes.
I walked past him, and as I was entering, he stretched his hand out. He says to me, "Welcome to America."
Yeah, that still gets me choked up.
Was the best words
Yeah.
I've ever heard in a long time.
Yeah,
To hear
whoever
that
you
word-
are, agent, that was awesome.
really, and we're entering. Now we're all sitting in this front office, and now we're waiting to be processed, because we know what the process.
Yeah,
will
they're
be.
going to be detained now.
Detained and questioned, and the whole story we had to go through. So we waited for about, I think, an hour or two, just waiting to see what was going on. And I think who went in first?
We went in first through the door. The girls got searched.
We got searched. Now you must listen. This is the first time ever we had to put our stuff down, open your feet wide, put your hands up against the wall, and you're getting searched by the American CBP officers.
Yeah.
So it felt kind of weird, but it's part of the process. So you get directed to sit down, and I go through all your luggage and your handbags and your everything. If you got money, take it out your pocket, put it one side. So we end up sitting now waiting to be processed, and I go through all your stuff. It's
Everything.
understandable. You get all your documentation, asking you questions.
So the process begins there.
Yeah, so the other family obviously went through the same process as us. At first we were all together in this one room, and then the one thing that you have to go through is your kids got to be examined by a doctor. So me as the mother and the kids, we had to go together with them to the hospital, and they have to get x-rays done if they got TB or all sorts of things. Had to go through that. So we went to, I think it was the McAllen Hospital. So it was 40 minutes from where we were, from Brownsville.
They took you in a van?
Yeah, all together, and you go to the hospital and you do this whole process. Kids have x-rays taken, temperatures, coughing, blah, 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 all the whole story. So we went through that whole process. So in the meantime, Bob was left by himself,
And I started
and
the
he started
interview.
his interview process.
And then when they came back, she done hers.
Well, and the interview was basically what? Why are you
They called
guys,
it a credible fear interview.
why
Yeah,
are
they
you
just asked
leaving?
you questions. They didn't want to know too much. They say that will be for when you go to court and so
Yeah.
forth. But they just took down the basics of why you are coming to America and why you've entered this way.
Got you.
Yeah.
And then from there, we got moved to another facility.
And this was now really coming towards night time. And I must say, I must give credit to us agents. The way they treated us was really good.
It's
And
good
they
to
were
hear.
really, really friendly to us. I mean, we had some good discussions with them while we were sitting and waiting.
Yeah.
They weren't rude at all. The kids were given cool drink to drink. They were given
When you were hungry,
a
they
sandwich.
fed you. When you were thirsty,
You know,
they gave
they
you
were
something to drink.
really treated us well. We didn't, feel threatened or anything.
Excellent.
I mean, after that, we were transported to another facility that was now getting nighttime, and we were also just waiting there. And we had fingerprints taken, photos taken, and just having a chat with the officers there on duty. And then it was reaching 12 o'clock.
And they
That
took us.
specific facility was closing, so we had to go to another facility.
Wow.
So there was like 3 facilities we went to.
Yeah, so that was where we got split up, the third facility. That was where the hard part came in for us, where he had to be by himself, and myself and the 2 kids were separate. So we had to go through the process of being interviewed by myself, and then my son got interviewed, but I was present because he was still a little bit underage, but I wasn't allowed to say anything, so he was questioned. And I must say he handled it better than I did, because I was so nervous. He really handled it so well for his age, and he answered it so well. So we went through that process, and we were detained for, I think it was 4 days, 3 nights and 4 days. The 4th day we were released. He was locked up in a cell by himself, and eventually, how many Mexicans had come across?
We were like 10 Mexicans. I mean, 2 drug dealers got caught bringing drugs across the border,
It
So
was
you're
hard.
sharing a room
He
with
had
them.
a
sharing-
hard time.
all sharing a room.
He had a hard time with being detained in a
Away from the kids and
away from the
claustrophobic.
kids, claustrophobic with his asthma. So you went to the hospital for his asthma attack and stuff during the process. So that sort of delayed our process of getting released because he had to go to hospital, and then the ICE agents came again and they interviewed you.
Yeah, the ICE
Yeah,
agents.
the ICE, and we had a whole long process, and eventually on the fourth day in the morning, when the one lady that stood out for me in that whole time that we were detained was, I can't remember her name.
Sharon.
I think her surname was Stone, I think. And she was really amazing. She came in and chatted to us.
She's a good actress, Sharon Stone.
Yeah, she made me think of that. She was a really amazing person. And she
really.
had to come in and see if the kids are okay. And are you okay? Don't worry, you'll be done here soon. Don't worry, things will be okay.
Yeah.
Bring the kids some extra breakfast in the morning.
Nice.
Making sure that we're okay. Bringing us like dry shampoo for our hair and like roll-on, and really take care of the kids. Make sure bring kids the colouring book to keep them busy, because you can't have anything with you. No phone.
Right.
They give you a thin little mattress and an emergency blanket. That's all you get.
Wow.
So basically, me and the kids were locked in this room for 3 days, and all we did was sleep and chat. And I think it was in the third day that I was starting to really get anxious, but I had to really, really, really control the anxiety in me, because I was starting to get irritated by being confined in that room, and I had to be strong for the kids. And my son was like, Mom, we just have to stay positive, but I'm telling you, Mom, I cannot stay another day in this room, another night. I said, I feel exactly the same.
Yeah.
So that was like the last night. It was the longest night of our lives.
Then it's a bus trip.
Yeah.
No. Then we went to...
Then the best part was when I came and said, you guys, get your stuff together, we're leaving. So we thought, okay, we're leaving, where are we going? So we gathered all our stuff, and after 4 days walking out into the Texan sun, it was in McAllen.
Yeah.
Or was Brownsville still? It was in
Brownsville.
The sun was so hot. It was like, wow, the sun, 4 days, wow, it's amazing. So we got loaded into this
Combi.
like a
Like a
van,
Yeah.
and now we're driving to McAllen. I think it's about 40 minutes or so.
Yeah.
It felt quite like a long drive. We are tired, we haven't showered, we're thirsty, we're hungry, we really look bad. So we're getting taken to McAllen.
Yeah, we thought we were just getting transferred somewhere else
Somewhere else, because we weren't sure. They don't tell you much.
Right.
They don't tell you much. But
in the meantime, you had made contact with one of the ICE agents, and they told you to get bus tickets.
Yeah, that's right. They
didn't know
they
that.
said that I had to show them proof that
Yeah.
that they had bus tickets available to my house.
yeah.
Yeah.
But,
And in this whole
And
process...
I'm in Virginia.
yeah.
In this whole process, our family don't really know.
What's going on?
Yeah.
My sister
Going
was
on.
panicking because she
Right.
The only
Your
one that
mom
knew
knew.
was my
Yeah.
mother.
And she's calling me asking
Yeah.
if I have
her
updates and I
sister.
don't.
So the rest of the family, they don't know how we're getting in and what we're doing.
Yeah.
We were just the big joke of the family.
We kept everything quiet,
Right.
at first with what our plans were, because, we're going on this journey, and
We'll let you know where we are.
yeah, it was really hard,
So then we go to this place that's like people are wearing masks, and there's a big wire cage in the middle of this warehouse, and all these guys are in there and kids, and it was really not
it was
a
a
good
shocking
place.
system to see, like, wow, there's so many people here that's like in this. Like,
That was all the Guatemalans and Mexicans that had been
Cubans
come
and
over.
whatever. So
Come
they sort of you lift a shirt up in front and they check you've got measles, look
check
for lice.
pregnant,
Yeah.
my daughter as well.
You go through this whole process.
Then they let us in, and then we got called to another agent, and he said, well, we're going to let you guys in, we're going to give you visas for a year.
Yeah,
and,
they gave us documentation, explained to us it's the entry visa for 1 year, paroled into the USA, and we have 1 year to do the asylum application. So that went well, and we were like, wow. And then they actually took us to the Greyhound bus station in McAllen, and I'm telling you, I can never ever. There's so many high points where I'll never forget the feeling when we got out of that car and we were free.
Like free.
In
Yeah.
America.
That was the
In
first time.
America.
Yeah.
Come on.
It was the best feeling.
They were taking
ever.
pictures of the flagpoles
Oh
and
my God,
everything.
it was the
telling you,
best.
I
I'll
mean-
never forget that feeling, just to know that we've arrived and we've made it after this journey. It was amazing.
Vanessa arranged for us to go to a hotel.
Yeah.
And she ordered pizza for us there, coming
we
out.
We couldn't wait to sleep in a bed, and we couldn't wait to shower.
Really, guys, this was a journey that without you, Vanessa, and God would have never, ever happened.
No. And this is not for everybody.
No.
And it this won't happen again anyway.
Like
for Mexico.
Like Danielle says that, from having the kids and bringing them up to a point where they are right now, and responsibility of starting this journey and actually seeing it through right to the end, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
There's really nothing like it.
I say this is the next best achievement of my life.
Yes.
Accomplishment that I've done, besides having kids and, to do this and get here and where we are right now.
But that isn't where our journey ends. It's
kind of where it starts.
It's then we get released to the bus stop and Danielle's walking around.
So you must know, they sorry to interrupt, but they put all your belongings in this huge bag that says Homeland Security. So when they drop you off, all your stuff is in this huge bag, and you walk through Texas with this huge bag saying Homeland Security.
And a brown envelope, and on the brown envelope there's a paper stuck to it. It says, "Please help me. I do not speak English."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I couldn't wait to get to the hotel just to get rid of this because I felt so embarrassed to walk around in Texas. Now you have to walk from here to the hotel, and it's like you got to walk through the traffic.
And then from the hotel back to the bus terminal, because that was the wrong hotel we were going.
Right.
And then we caught a taxi to the hotel.
Yeah.
We spent a night in Texas.
Yeah.
And then we went back to the bus terminal.
You had pizza?
Yeah,
we had pizza.
Vanessa ordered pizza for us, and she delivered to the hotel room. It was so amazing of her to do that. And she booked a hotel for us. We could sleep in a bed, and remember we took videos and photos.
Oh yeah.
And we had those 4 American flags outside.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite pictures.
It was beautiful.
And then from there we caught the taxi the following morning to the bus. And that was a journey on its own, brother.
Yeah, how long was that trip?
It was a 2.5 day bus
ride. It was like 3 days.
They got to, listen, if you ever want to see the worst parts of America, take a Greyhound bus, because some of the stations are,
Houston.
they're like little zombie lands. I mean, unbelievable.
Alabama, I had my first
hot dog.
Chili cheese hot dog
I've
ever had.
Best, and then I think the best terminal was New Orleans.
New Orleans.
It was clean, it was beautiful, and Alabama, obviously. And then we arrived here in Richmond, and you couldn't wait. And
I couldn't wait, so we drove down to Richmond to pick them up, because they still had another stop after that. We're like, screw it, let's go meet them.
Yeah.
So now you're in America, and then what? Is it just all happiness and joy, or?
No, then it started again. A lot of highs, a lot of lows.
I must say the first few months you
antsy.
Adjust, and you're in awe of the place and how it's just different here. And
we're coming up on an hour here. I'm not trying to rush you, but I want to, just so you'll know that I'm going to push a little bit.
Yeah.
When you got here, and I know the answers to these things, I'm just trying to lead them a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about some of the humbling and the guilt, and in terms of having to depend on people.
Yeah.
Because now suddenly you show up at somebody's house, you've got only the clothes on your backs, and you have to depend on us for everything. And how'd that feel? I know how it felt, because we've talked about this.
It wasn't good.
It's very humbling.
I mean,
it's hard.
Go to the toilet. I mean, you paying for it,
So it's very hard on them, and because nobody wants to be in that position. And these guys were helping people in Africa all their lives, and suddenly they're on the other end of it, and it caused a lot of stress.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark, that from the time we left Africa, everything we sold, our life savings, when we got to you here, we had not a cent in our pocket.
That's right.
We had like $5 because we had $200.
And you had some pesos,
McAllen on the bus ride. So
when we start off now, we starting from nothing.
Yeah.
Literally.
From the bottom.
Yeah. I mean, he was wearing my underwear and socks. I mean, that's the truth.
Sucks, but it's what we have to do right now.
So you got to put your pride way, way aside. And we had many discussions about this, because I get it. I understand how that feels. But we got through it, and we talked about it. We said we're gonna have highs and lows. We're gonna have we might even have an argument or two, and we did. We had a big blowout, because this is what happens. You take people from a different culture. My wife is from Vietnam. That's another culture, and it's taken me 15 years, and I'm still battling her as we try to understand each other. And then you've got just a lot of dynamics, different people, and so it's not all peaches and cream. None of us would change any of it, but it's just a heads up to anybody that makes such a change like this. You come around the other side of the world, and you show up, and there's things you got to deal with. And before I forget, I want to talk a little bit about the flag behind them because this was a quite a conversation. Danielle did not want to sit in front of the flag because she thought that it might offend Westerners who would look at that as, oh, well, it's a racist flag and it's illegal. And do we have it right set up this time? Okay, that it, this flag is illegal to be flown in South Africa, and she didn't want to give the impression that, hey, it's like a in your face thing. Bob and I looked at it differently. I say, hey, look, this is the flag of your fathers. And it's the people that have deemed it illegal are the very people that are advocating the burning alive and the murder and the rape and the torture and the land theft and the appropriation and all this other shit and the minimization and marginalization of the minority whites in Africa. So I don't recognize their fucked up law, and I didn't think they should either. So just so that you, the audience, knows that this was not something that we did lightly. There was a lot of discussion. And that's why the flag's up there.
I just want to say that I forgot to mention that the day we were released into McAllen was the day that Donald Trump won his case.
Yes, that's right.
And with him winning his case, that means that anybody coming through Mexico right now, the paperwork will be done in the US, but those people will be sent back to Mexico to wait out the trial.
Which could take years.
So if anybody is thinking of coming through Mexico, you can't do it.
They were literally the last group of people to be able to come through. That's the door hit them in the ass when they came through. So does that mean it's impossible to get here? I mean, obviously, if you have an American visa, you're good to go. Yeah. But you have to get creative. And when people ask me, how can I get there? You have to, it's a chess game. You got to think and plan and have contacts and help. You can't just do it yourself. I mean, I don't want to get too far on the weeds here, but there's a terrible, in my opinion, tragedy that just happened with a family that made it to Texas and then went back to Mexico thinking that they could renew their visa or whatever and extend whatever. They made a mistake, went back, couldn't get back across the border, and now they're back in South Africa. So they went through all the same shit to get here, and now they're right back where they started. So, you have to plan these things through, and you can't do it without talking to a lot of people, get experience. Things change, policies change. Maybe the best bet if you're planning on leaving is to go to another country, and then from there you can work on getting to America. If it takes 2 or 3 years, at least you're not in Africa.
Yeah, just get out of the...
Which brings me to another thing, and we'll be wrapping this up here. And this is probably the longest video I've ever done. It's over an hour now, but I think it's awesome though. I wanted to bring up there is some dissent amongst, if you watch my videos and you read the comments, there are a lot of South Africans in South Africa who really look down on people that are leaving. And it's an uncomfortable topic. I want to address it because it comes up on every video. I get it. I'm going to let these guys speak on it in a second. But, the fact of the matter is, these are decisions that people make. Nobody that I know of is, unless they're a Native American, is in the country of their ancestors' birth. I mean, people have been immigrating for thousands and thousands of years. So, it's unfortunate that some people say, hey, man, if they really cared, they'd stay here and fight with us. I personally think a lot of that's jealousy. I think a lot of that is because, hey, I don't have the money to get out, so fuck those guys. Some of it may be patriotism, and I get that. But each of our situations is different. And I know that these two people, they made the decision based on one reason and one reason alone. They felt obligated to get their children out of a shitty situation where the chance of success was zero and the chance of survival was minimal. Well, do you guys have anything to add to that in terms of how you feel about that?
If they want to call us a coward or a deserter, feel free. But you know what? My kids and their kids' are going to be safe.
Right.
And I'm so sorry for you guys that can't get out.
That's true. We cry over it.
We go to bed at night and we wake up and we see farm attacks, home invasions. I mean, we try and help where we can. We try and give people information.
And that's as far as we can go right now. If you want to ask questions or even to help you with anything. I can give advice or help
And you
look
will
up
do that
something.
for the future. That's
Yeah.
their plan is
Yeah.
to help people in the
That is
future.
as far as we can go
You know,
right
and
now.
I want to remind people in South Africa that are kind of mean about this, that your great grandparents that left Europe to get to South Africa left Europe because they didn't like the system there and they were looking for a better way of life. So if you want to call these guys cowards and taking the easy way out or whatever, then you're also calling your own relatives that, because that's how you ended up on that land. So I would hope that we don't get too caught up in the pointing of fingers, and understand that we each have to live our own lives. And as parents, we always have to make the decisions that we feel are right. And not everybody's a warrior. I've often said on my videos, and I mean it, if I was a single man in my 20s or 30s, had no kids, I'd be in South Africa with an AR-15, and I'd be waiting for the fun to begin because I'm so pissed off about it. But that's me. But I wouldn't do it now because I'm an old guy with a dog, and I'm not leaving my dog and my kids. So how can we wrap this up? What has your experience been like in America? If you had to sum it up, what do you think of your new home?
It's awesome.
Nothing
can describe the way it is here. There's no walls. There's no. I mean, Mark left a shotgun on the deck for a night.
It was an accident. I left my shotgun out there, and Bob couldn't believe it.
Could you imagine leaving a shotgun on your veranda in South Africa for a night?
I've got like 42 guns. I forgot I left it there. But we would walk around out here. They walked the dog with me, and first it was so interesting. You guys talk about that. Walking and what were you telling me? My God, there's no gates. Hey, Mike, there's no bars on the wall. Why is that guy's garage open?
12 o'clock at night, somebody's garage is open.
Yeah, midnight.
Cars are there. Nothing.
Bikes in the yard.
You know?
Exactly.
Now, it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it's such a difference is what we're saying.
It's totally different to South Africa,
I think
you know?
we could probably make another video after this.
Yes.
And cover some other subjects.
Sure.
Of our journey now from here onwards. And I think just for me, is to see how happy my kids are here in school.
Yeah,
how
that's been amazing.
The opportunities they have in school, educational wise,
yes.
And the
care
of the teacher, the care, the genuineness of the teacher, of really taking care for your child and
taking interest
in your child, and just for them to get on a bus in the morning, a school bus, and go to school and come back to
Now,
school.
Danielle's like a hawk. She wouldn't let the kids go 4 inches without standing with them.
Yeah.
This has taken such a process. I remember I was walking around a shopping center with these guys, and there were some cops or somebody standing there, and not Danielle, but the daughter got nervous. Hey, are we safe? Crowds were making them nervous. It's taken such a long time for them to, they sleep. Now they actually close the door when they're in their bedroom, which has never happened in their life, because they don't have to rely on hearing every sound because people come and go in my house. It's not a utopia, but we say this to illustrate how maybe some of us Americans that are watching this, we take things for granted, and we ought to appreciate what we have here. I mean, the odds of somebody coming in here and cutting somebody's throat are zero.
really.
It's just not going to happen. But that life over there, when you're a white person, your life is in your hands every single second, and that's not an exaggeration.
But I mean, if people are in the process and they need any information,
Reach
you can
out.
Look us up on Facebook.
Yeah, there's a Facebook group, LMSTactical. It's a Facebook group.
Yeah.
We try to scrutinize it, but try to join that if you're a Facebook user, and then that's a good way to ask questions. Also, since we're plugging that, I might as well let you know I'm new to the podcast world. I've got 2 or 3, I think 2 or 3 up now. But check out my podcast. I'm going to be making another one tonight. It's It's on Podbean, Podbean. That's the source of it. The channel is called LMSTactical Radio, and I've submitted it to iTunes. Eventually, once I hear from them, it could be a couple weeks, they'll release it onto iTunes. It'll be available everywhere. But if you can't figure it out, send me an email, airborne80@gmail.com, and I'll give you the link to the podcast. But I'm trying to get away from YouTube because YouTube, as you all know, everything I do, I get kicked off YouTube. So they want to shut the channel down because too much truth coming out of here. And let's wrap it up. What do you guys want to say in closing? I'll shut my mouth.
This is a lot to be said.
Yeah, and none of this has been planned.
People understand that we took a long time to come out and, talk about our journey.
Yeah.
And there's actually a lot more to say, but it's just to tell you of how we got here. And there's a lot more to say about what's going on and why.
Our process and what we're going to wait for.
I think we can do another video on a later stage and
absolutely,
continue our discussions of what's going on.
And we'll get you on the podcast too.
People should just, follow your heart, trust your instincts, push on through. If you want to do this, there's no turning back.
Got to be determined.
Just keep going.
Just believe and trust in God.
Just keep
and
going.
If you think you've got what it takes to get out,
go for it.
A similar way as we did, bugger what the people say about it.
You got to just take the steps.
Take it and go for it.
And I must say, the American people, so far the people we've met here are so awesome. I mean, it's just amazing how people are. It's how caring they are, how people are willing to help you. People that don't even know you are so willing to help you. And
that's people of all colors, by the way.
Exactly.
It's
just amazing.
A lot of Americans, we think, because we hear that we're a very racist country, and let's just be honest. I'm not a guy that beats around the bush here. We were in Costco or whatever, and African-American lady was going to talk to Danielle and said, "Hey, excuse me." And now that never happens over there unless they're going to say something terrible, and because of the whites are the scum of the earth. But to see them react to people treating them like human beings.
There's no tension when you walk down the road.
They literally were like pieces of salt in the pepper shaker, and the pepper didn't like them. The pepper hated them. Now they're like, hey, nobody's looking at us. We'll go to the mall, and there may be large groups of African Americans walking by. I'll look twice at them, and they never experienced that. They're very nice to them.
Yes, sir.
It makes you appreciate what we have here and realize that this is not as fucked up of a country as a lot of liberals would like us to believe. But okay, so we're gonna wrap it up. I had something really profound to say at the end. I can't remember it. Make sure that if this is the first time you've been on my channel, please go watch the last video I uploaded. And what did I call that, guys? The last one was the one I just did yesterday.
I don't know.
Go to the video right before this. What is it called? South Africa burning, or the time is now. Now's the time, something like that. Check it out. It'll give you some pretty graphic verbal details of what's happening and how the tempo has increased in terms of violence and what's going on. Look at my other videos. There's other videos, other people that make videos that'll tell you the history and what's going on if you're new to it. But please subscribe. And also, for everybody hearing this, right now, go to LMSTactical Backup. That's LMSTactical and then space Backup. That's my backup YouTube channel. There's only like 700 subscribers there, but I need that to be there. I need people to be there, so when they kick me off of this channel, that's where I'm going to show up.
Do it now.
I got suspended for a couple weeks, and everybody was like, hey, where'd you go? And I've put this information out, but people, for some reason, don't go subscribe, and then they lose track of me. So we got to be smarter than the liberals in charge of this thing. And, they don't like freedom of speech. I do. So LMSTactical space Backup. That's my YouTube channel that's where I'll be when I get kicked out of here. And also Podbean, LMSTactical Radio. And you're going to go to Facebook, LMSTactical group. And that's it. You guys, thanks so much for taking the time to sit. We've been planning this for a long time.
Yeah.
You guys, I hope you enjoyed this. And please share this with people, especially anybody that you think might be able to get some use out of it. And share it with people that you don't even know if they're interested in it. I think people need to know what's going on in the world. And this is a big human interest story because it's happening. And like I said, check out my last video and you'll see just exactly why people are in a hurry to get the hell out of there. Until next time, thank you for listening. LMS Tactical, I'm out.
God bless and be safe.
Bye-bye.